Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our episode of... Yes, here we are. Sound is good. Live from Denver. It is Friday night. Welcome to Critical Conversations. Always got to do that sound check at the last second. I mean, everything can test well, and then at the last second, something goes off, and you're like, God, ah. Anyway, as always, I am joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello, and I just want to apologize in advance. I've been kind of sick this week, so I might cough or make weird noises.
Yeah, well, it's all good, baby. And hello, critics. We are so glad you are joining us for this Friday evening, our live call-in show. Lots of things to talk about on this 3rd of December in the year of our Lord, 2021. I've always... I've always thought that to be a funny way of saying it, but the fact that it pushes your buttons makes me giggle even more. So it's actually funnier. Anyway, hey, Kiwiland, that is so awesome. Nice. Good morning, Australia. Yeah, critic night. All right, guys, this is awesome. So let's get to it. I thought we might, we're rolling into December now, and we are now into the holiday season. I mean, at least Black Friday, I understood, was, do I like Christmas music? No, I don't. Not really.
When it's played around Christmas time.
At least, yes, I do. I can at least go there. I can at least appreciate it more when it's at the appropriate time of the year. For
yeah,
sure.
Not starting November 1st.
No, please. But actually, I speak too quickly and too flippantly. There's a lot of Christmas music I actually just love. Mm-hmm. And especially when it's really done in a kind of epic way, like Carol of the Bells or something. That just gets really multi-layered and, really instrumental. And I really like that kind of Christmas music. But I can appreciate, what is it? Jingle Bell Rock.
Oh, yeah,
that's it. Jingle Bell Rock. I kept thinking Christmas rock, and I kept saying, no, I can't say that because that's not what it's called. And then you hang up on that. But yeah, Jingle Bell Rock is also, I love that. So.
Or Jingle Bells Batman Smells.
That was never my thing. I'm not big on bottom humor. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that always not my deal.
With my humor.
Okay, now in Scientology, do you get to do anything for Christmas? I was actually going to talk a little bit about that. Let's go ahead and we can get to that. Yeah, Christmas starts November 1st. No. Okay, so holiday stress. I thought we would talk about holiday stress because here we are into the holidays, right? The holiday season is upon us. And this has been, this is literally been a time of the most stress for me. And I wanted to tell, I thought you guys might appreciate a little sharing here from the Scientology world. Because Christmas time was the worst time for me as a Sea Org manager. Different levels of the Sea Org have different experiences of the holidays. And of course, different levels of Scientology have different experiences of the holidays. Public are fine. Nobody's, they just get, mooched for money all the time, but that's no different during Christmas than any other time of the year. The only thing that they ramp up around Christmas time in Scientology is the tax exemption, the tax deductible charitable donations. They want you to pay for services as much as you can near the end of the year so you can write it off on your taxes. And that's the benefit to you while the church is getting your money, right? Then, oh, yeah, I hear you, Amanda. I get it. Yeah, holidays are the holidays. Now, where was I going? Oh, yeah, so that's the public Scientologists. Now, the staff start feeling a lot more pressure, though. And the pressure that the staff are feeling was coming from people like me in the Sea Org when I was a Sea Org member. And that was because, of course, I was experiencing a great deal of pressure because, put simply, I don't want to spend the whole show talking about this, but I I was under the gun to make sure that the statistics for the delivery of Scientology during the Thanksgiving and Christmas New Year time period from basically end of November through mid-January, for that time period, we did not want to see the stats just crash and crash and crash because everybody's going off for the holidays, which is what Scientologists do, just like everybody else. They plan their vacations, their family get-togethers. They're in the world, and that's, what they're going to have to deal with. We in the Sea Org didn't have to deal with that. We were in the little cloistered world, and I spent all my day in the basement of this building. So we were sending orders down, and it was our neck if those stats crashed. So it was up to us to make sure that Scientologists could go off on vacation, but they also were coming in for their auditing and for their classwork. And if they weren't, then they were getting in ethics trouble. And so this would kind of rain all the way down the line to the public. But what we were trying to do was prevent the numbers to go down because it looked so bad on the graphs, and management would freak out and everybody would freak out. And it was just a big chain of everybody freaking out, really over nothing. But this is Scientology for you. It's all about those numbers on those graphs. Mm-hmm. It was taken to this ridiculous degree. And by pressure on me, I mean, we weren't getting Christmas if those stats were going to be going down. And so what we had to do was we had to draw up big grids and spreadsheets. I became the grid master. And we predicted out based on what the numbers that they gave us of every course slot period and every auditor and how many hours they were going to be auditing. And we had it all projected out over the next 6 to 8 weeks. And if we didn't have it projected out good, then we weren't getting Christmas. And so there was a whole lot of incentive to push a whole lot of push down the line. And the only time that I remember, I think out of the 17 years I was in the Sea Org, I think I had a full day off for Christmas 3 times.
Damn.
I think three Christmases were full off.
Wow.
Every other Christmas was 3/4 day, half day, no Christmas at all. And it became, and then here was the other thing about this time of the year for you guys with me, is that my birthday is December 11th, which is exactly 2 weeks before Christmas. So with all of this stress on Christmas, that rolled right into my birthday too. And if things were not looking good for Christmas, I was usually under the gun, had an axe over my head, and I was getting some kind of justice action. Court of ethics or some condition assignment or some bullshit. And I was scrubbing pots at 3 a.m. So that was what I was usually spending my birthday doing.
Ugh.
So my birthday and Christmas both became kind of associated with a lot of this crap. And it's been years in the undoing, because now I'm kind of really appreciating Christmas. As I was going over in my podcast last week, feeling a lot of relief from all that Scientology bullshit. Now I can kind of talk about it with more of a smile on my face about Jesus, how crazy that was, rather than how traumatized I necessarily feel about it right now. I've got, I kind of spent a lot of years with a lot of Christmases with family, and actually kind of getting reintegrated into what Christmas is really all about. Family.
Yeah.
And joy and, and all that crap. So.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of did you get a lot of people combining your birthday with Christmas and being like, here's your birthday and Christmas present?
No.
Okay, that's good.
Not a lot.
I know people in December have that happen to them a lot,
Yeah, no, not a lot. Because in the Sea Org, I was basically getting a present from my wife, and that was about it. Actually, for my birthday, I might get something from the group. That was kind of how the birthday presents would go. So it wasn't combined that way. The hardest part for me was even having a birthday party, though, because if I was under justice, then I was in trouble. So people shouldn't be, having a good time with me, kind of thing. It got that bad a couple times. Sometimes it wasn't that bad. So, I try not to.
Alex asked an interesting question. Did you at least have decorations up at the orgs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, Scientology definitely celebrates Christmas. They make a full thing out of it. There's a Christmas catalog that Bridge Publications puts out of Christmas things, and they sell jewelry with Scientology symbols and stuff like that. So they have this whole Christmas catalog they put out every year. And they usually have trees in the orgs, and they do a decorating party for the public to come and do that kind of stuff. So they get into it. They absolutely do.
Okay.
And they are open on Christmas Day. Every org. Somebody has to be there. And generally, the bigger the org, the more people have to be there. There were many years when I was a staff member back in Santa Barbara where Christmas for me was sitting watching videos all day in the org, because I was separated from my family, lived in Santa Maria. I was in Santa Barbara. So, and then they moved further away. So I was spending Christmas alone, but it wasn't, it was kind of by choice a little bit there too. So it's not total sob story. Anyway, Sheriff, same birthday, Jeff. Cool.
Yeah. Oh,
cool,
boy.
cool. Oh, thank you, R.R. Smith. Appreciate that very much. Thanks for that super chat. Okay, so that's my holiday stress story. I am happy to share in some of that with you guys if you want to call in or talk to us about holiday stress. However, I didn't want to just commiserate over the misery of it. I also had a couple ideas of things to talk about, in regards to what something I thought of that might help all of us if we're going to have struggles with our family or controversial issues with family or friends over the holiday season, if we're going to be going to family gatherings and stuff like that. I know some people are dreading that. Some people don't do that anymore and are, happy not to. Other people kind of grit their teeth, and other people are quite happy to get with their family and great. We don't have to create problems where they don't exist.
Yeah.
But I did have an idea about that. So first off, our call-in line is 984-214-4154. If you want to call in, we have those lines open. And how are you dealing with the holidays, by the way?
I'm okay. It's definitely gonna be a little bit of a stretch this year, but I'm okay. Like, usually it's fine. That's usually fine with my dad's family. When I was a kid and I was still hanging out with my mom's family, now there was some holiday stress. There was temper tantrums from the adults as well as me. And there was just temper tantrums all around, and screaming and yelling and arguing and people storming out. So that was always fun. But when I'd go to because that was usually Christmas Eve, I'd hang out with my mom's family, and then Christmas Day with my dad. So it was always like cool to go to my dad's because it was like chill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I remember growing up having some really nice Christmases, and specifically, I remember flying out to Chicago or Illinois or something to visit with my mom's family out there. She came from a big family. My mom is the oldest of 9 kids, and so there's lots of relatives and cousins and stuff. And I was a little bit more in tune with that whole thing while I was growing up, and then later for obvious reasons. Yeah, copious amounts of the special eggnog.
Exactly.
By the way, hey, hon, on your question there about why would Scientologists celebrate an R6 implant, an R6, knowing that Christmas is an R6 implant is very confidential information in Scientology. This just goes, you might already know that, but it's always an opportunity for me to point out that we out here know so much more about Scientology than most Scientologists do, which is wild. But it's true. Eventually they get there and they get to the Xenu and they get to all the crazy, but it takes years for them to get there, and it's kind of wild that way. Anyway, no, not copious amounts of special eggnog, but I did have an idea here. However, what is this? It looks like we have a call coming in here. Let us go ahead and pick this up. Hello, is this Kevin?
Hey, guys. Yep, this is Kevin.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I wanted to call in because over Thanksgiving I went to my dad's side of the family, and got together with my stepmom and her siblings, and there's a few people on that side of the family that are kind of conspiracy theorists and COVID deniers, and that it turned out to be a special occasion, that's for sure.
I'll bet.
We've talked about this a little bit a while ago, and I'm on the scientific skepticism, pro-vaccine, show me your evidence side. So
Yeah.
it was an experience, and the one person in particular is very, very far down the rabbit hole. So it's not the type of situation where you could even really have any hopes of trying to reach them.
Right.
So it was something special. I ended up going out to the fridge out in the garage for some alcohol a few more times than I normally do when I'm there.
I totally get that. Totally get that. It's a little hard to engage with. Let me ask, was he trying to, I'm assuming it was a he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it tends in that direction, but
Mm-hmm.
was he proselytizing his faith?
Yeah. It didn't really come up until he brought it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did go there maybe looking for some converts, or at least for some conversation.
Just for some context to show how far down the rabbit hole he is, he's one of the types of people that doesn't have a microwave because he doesn't understand how Faraday cages work.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right.
So,
yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
I do.
So.
Okay. Well, that's very unfortunate. And were you able to avoid, or did you have to engage?
For my dad's sake, it was one of those things where you just kind of just bide your time and don't really say a whole lot of thing and sip your beer.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But it was different for sure. It was, and I don't have any other than that. I don't have anything against. He's actually my stepbrother. Actually, I don't have anything against him. He lives in a different state, and we don't really see each other all that much. So
good.
But yeah, he's way down there, man. There's the whole Planet Naboo thing.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're in. I don't know what else. There's anything that's even the slightest bit of, or that has the slightest bit of conspiracy type thing to it. He's on it. UFOs, lizard people, all that good stuff.
Is he just, if you don't mind, just because I'm curious, I'm asking you these questions. If if you don't want to tell me or anything, it's totally fine with me.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm willing to be really open.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Because I'm just curious, and of course I've engaged with people like this in the past, and in a way I was one of those people in the past. So so I'm always curious about it and how it manifests in different ways now. So is your stepbrother somebody who holds down professional work? Is he a working professional?
No. Well, he owns, I guess, I don't know. It depends on what your
I was wondering if he was in the corporate world, perhaps, or.
Oh, no. He's in the trade. I think he owns a pool company. He does that kind of stuff.
Oh, like installing pools.
Smith, and he does guided hunting trips and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. All right. So kind of more manual labor, kind of grunt on the field, boots on the ground kind of work.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Does he have a lot of time, or give himself a lot of time, do you think, for internet watching?
That's the strange thing. I don't think so. I follow, aside from, or I don't know how I haven't unfollowed him on Facebook with all the stuff that he posts, but when he's not posting about conspiracies, he's talking about how busy he is doing stuff, and he owns kind of like a hobby farm. So it's he's busy doing that and taking people out on hunting trips. So I don't know how he has time to go find out about all this stuff.
How interesting. I wonder if he subscribes to podcasts or something. Maybe he listens to them.
Maybe, I don't know.
While he's doing his work.
I mean, maybe he was an Alex Jones InfoWars fan in the past. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes you
don't have to listen to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, all I was going to comment on is, sometimes it's not necessary for some people to have to, weekly go re-dip their feet in the pool. They, they just kind of keep it going. Or perhaps through other social contacts he has.
InfoWars very long to just go completely down that way.
Right. Well, I mean, it seems to me from how you've described this that you seem to handle it quite well, given the context of the situation.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we don't see each other very often. I did try to engage him at one point in the past, and in fact, I actually agreed to listen to. I forget the name of the show. I think it was Coast to Coast or something.
Oh,
like
yes.
That.
Yes. It goes Coast to Coast.
Yeah. If he would read any book by Carl Sagan or something like that. I didn't necessarily say Demon Haunted World.
Yeah.
And I think he actually did. I think he read Pale Blue Dot.
Oh.
So maybe there's a seed planted. I don't know. I'm going to try to see if I can get him to read Demon Haunted World next.
Excellent. Excellent. Great, Kevin. Well, thanks for calling in and sharing with me on that. And maybe some of what I'm going to talk about will be applicable in the future. Maybe not, but let's see.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome, man.
Well, it's good talking to you guys again.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Bye-bye, man.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Yeah, cool deal. Just want to see where we're at. Oh, got some shows here. Okay. All right, just catching up on the comments here. Coast to Coast, yeah. I was on Coast to Coast once, guys. It was an interesting experience. I was like, oh boy, I don't know if I want to be on that show again. some interesting topics they cover there. I think if I had understood the platform I was going to be talking on, I would have brought more of the Scientology, cosmology with me. I would have been a bit more prepared to talk about kind of the crazy alien stuff, because there's a lot of it, and in that kind of a long format, I probably could have done better with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's on my mind with this as far as a solution or a direction, okay? Not a solution, really, but just maybe an adjustment of some kind that might help. It dawned on me when I went to, I didn't get to tell you guys, but I went to this Faithless Forum. That's why we didn't have a show 2 weeks ago, because I was in Austin that weekend. And that was a YouTuber convention. It was pretty small, maybe about 100 people there. Got to meet other YouTubers who do atheist type content much more than I do. I'm not really an atheist channel the same way they are. They're constantly doing counter apologetics and retorts to the Bible and work like that, which is fine. But that's not my gig. But it was interesting because they're a very skeptic group of people, right? And one of the people who was there, I got to talk in person with him for a little bit, was Anthony Magnabosco. And I've had him on my show a few times, and we have talked in some detail about a technique that is called street epistemology. And this has been talked about. I've done shows about this on the basis of how to perhaps get someone else to think about why they hold certain beliefs or ideas and reconsider, perhaps the basis of their belief based on why it is they hold it in the first place. Epistemology has to do with why, the study of knowledge or the nature of knowledge, or looking into the etymology of why you and how you know things. And so street epistemology is this sort of technique of having a conversation. Kind of, it's not really, I don't think of it as Socratic method, except for the fact that you're asking questions. But it's not trying to lead a person somewhere. And I think that's part of what I understand Socratic method to be, is you've got this idea and you're going to teach this person this idea through questioning rather than by just telling it to them. They figure it out for themselves that way. And it's a fascinating way to teach somebody something, but that's not street epistemology. The reason that the thing that occurred to me while I was at this Faithless Forum and talking to Anthony about it kind of newly, because he's constantly working on this technique, and they've actually set up a nonprofit and they've got some workshops, and I think they're looking at doing an online course. Cool. I've actually had Anthony out here to the Secular Hub, and he gave a workshop that we tried to organize to show people and get them to practice how to do it. So it's a very, very interesting thing to do. It's very informal. It's not, some sociological or therapeutic technique or something like that at all. It's really just conversation. And it's not meant to be anything more than conversational. It's not mind control. It's not supposed to be coercive. You're supposed to be actually, while doing street epistemology with someone, you're supposed to actually have sort of informed consent at every step of the way. Mm-hmm. Hey, you run into somebody, or you're going to do this thing on the street, and it's like, hey, I want to talk about a belief you hold. Would that be okay with you? And
sure.
Great, and you want to, I'm going to time this for, 5 minutes. Is that okay with you? You got 5 minutes you want to do? Good. So now the person completely knows we're going to talk about beliefs, and it's going to be for 5 minutes, and here we go. So, tell me a deeply held belief you have, right? And we then proceed to examine, where does that belief come from on a scale of, 1 to 10. How certain are you that that belief is true, right? If 0 is no certainty and 10 is utter complete certainty. And you just start exploring that belief and where it came from and why the person holds it to be true. And for some people, it's just faith is faith, and I just don't have to have a reason. It's just because that's how it is. And you go, oh, that's fascinating. Okay, well, do you mind if I explore this idea of faith with you? And how do you hold something to be true when you simply believe it to be true? I mean, would you hold something to be true with faith if you were presented with something that countered that? Something that showed that was not true? Would that challenge your faith? And that you start establishing boundaries and parameters of how this person thinks about things and how they hold belief and how they think about belief and the nature of the specific belief you're talking about. And it could be anything at all. It could be value-based or not, could be belief-based or not. Is the death penalty a good idea? Here's a question you could explore with somebody, and if they already have an answer to it, then you could drill down into, well, where does that answer come from, and how did you develop that idea? And it's really just asking those kind of questions. It's not about you suck for having that idea.
Your ideas are bad.
It's not about any of that. And this wasn't, I didn't want to go into a whole thing about street epistemology. I just wanted to kind of remind everybody what it is, or let everybody in on kind of summarily what it's about. The twist that I have on this, and nobody else that I know has ever said this or talked about this aspect of it, but for me, this is very real, and something I wanted to share as far as one of the things I've gotten out of using this technique, and also just sort of applying critical thinking, trying to think more clearly and more objectively about certain things, right, is I noticed that when I can understand somebody else's point of view and why they hold it, I can disagree with the point of view. But if I can actually kind of grok or really get my wits around why they think that, then my invented reasons for why they think that disappear.
Right.
They have to, if I'm being honest, because the person themselves has told me why they hold that belief.
You either believe them or not. And
right. And if you're having this kind of a honest, open, conversation, a street epistemology style conversation, then you're kind of bound when you start something like that. You're bound by certain rules, which are don't jump down the guy's throat when he tells you something you don't agree with. You're not there to have a value-based ethics moral argument. You're there to interrogate information and belief and where it comes from.
Yeah.
And that alone kind of changes the nature of the conversation. But then we've talked about it all the time in terms of what it's doing to that person, and is it okay to do that to that person? Well, I think with informed consent, as
long as they know what's going on.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay to do anything to somebody if they know what you're doing and consent to it. It's when things get weird when you're doing things premeditatively that you're doing that they don't. That's when things get screwed up. So people have really had concern about the ethics of that, and good on them. There should be ethical rules here, and informed consent's the biggest one as far as I'm concerned. But what it does for this person, for the person who's actually doing the questioning, is it opens up your mind too to other ideas and reasons why people might hold ideas different from yours. It doesn't mean you have to change your morality. It just broadens your understanding of other people and your opposition. And the reason that I thought this was really important is because it aligns with John Stuart Mill. And I kind of love John Stuart Mill. He's the guy who wrote On Liberty. He's, the whole freedom of speech thing, and speech should do no harm, but otherwise, you should be able to say whatever the hell you want. And he has, his essay on liberty is a great read. And one of the points that he makes, and it's a really important point, is if you're gonna decide that the other side is evil and must be destroyed, then you should be able to enunciate or describe their position better than they can.
Yep.
At least as well as they can. You have to really get their position before you decide, blah. And this is part of that process. And I thought that I would throw that out there because I'm a crazy person, but I thought maybe approaching it from that attitude might help all of us in having those tough, difficult conversations with our relatives or whatever, if we have to have them.
Yeah.
This isn't, okay, now you're armed, go do it. There's no call to action here, okay? This was just some thoughts I had about maybe a way to approach those conversations that's not adversarial. And my only defense for doing that, the only reason that I have to think that might be advantageous for you, is because I'm going to ask you now, has your mind ever been changed by somebody else screaming at you?
No.
Right? In a positive way, right? Did they get what they wanted by screaming and yelling at you, or by telling you what an idiot you are, or by insulting you, or by otherwise trying to dominate you with their betterness, their morality, their ideas, whatever, does that ever work?
Even if it does, it's just because you don't want them to scream at you anymore.
Well, exactly. And is that really changing your mind, or is that just keeping the peace, right? So just an idea there. We have a call here, so I'm going to pick this up now. Hello, is this Travis?
It is. It's
hey.
Good to talk to you, Chris.
Yeah.
And Melissa.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I've got two things to talk about. One is the street epistemology, and the other is Scientology. So,
great.
First, I'd like to answer one of your questions, Chris.
Yes.
You asked if my mind had ever been changed by somebody screaming at me. Yeah, indubitably, it has been.
Cool.
I was in the military for a while, and I can tell you that my mind was quickly changed.
Yeah, there is that.
And not only by getting screamed at, but also people laying hands on me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I also worked in a correctional facility for a while.
Oh.
And my mind was changed frequently, and I changed minds frequently by being a bit forceful. So
fair enough.
Those perhaps are accept. And believe me, it had to get a little rough in the correctional facility I worked in. But I think those are exceptional circumstances, and I don't know if that fits into what you were asking.
Well, perhaps I could modify my statement by asking, if you were not in a facility with barbed wire fence, has it ever occurred to you know that's maybe I should preface it with that. So
yeah, you get putting people in the hole and leaving them in there for a while has the
that'll change some minds.
It does change individuals.
Yes, it does. Sure. Yes, it does. But again, not necessarily in a positive direction. And certainly we wouldn't want any family gatherings looking like that. So, pray tell, what else do you have for us, Travis?
So this echoes and or piggybacks and some of the things that you've said already.
Yeah.
And that is that I think in the process of what you're describing, this is going to be a bit ironic considering what I just said, but it's important, and this is just from life experience, it's important to be non-confrontational and very respectful of whomever it is that you're talking to, regardless of how over the top and out in la la land they might be. And also the third component of that is that it takes time. In other words, showing up and telling somebody that 1 and 1 does not in fact equal 3, but it in fact is 2, that's not going to necessarily change somebody quickly.
That's right.
Or right then and there on the spot. People have emotional investments. They may have an emotional tie to whoever it is that told them the information. It may be a thing where there's some type of logical fallacy that took place, and they're convinced of whatever it is for whatever reason, and letting go of whatever these beliefs are, and or even modifying them a little bit. Well, it's almost like pulling teeth.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
You're nailing it, man. That's exactly right. And sometimes it's even that they do get that you're right, but they just, the ego or the pride won't allow them to say so. It gets that silly, you know?
So, and I think it was Plato that goes into this. It's been a while since I've read this. Knowledge, and this is a very technical thing, Plato went in and said that knowledge is a subset of belief.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go into the whole diatribe, but basically, if somebody believes something hard enough that's wrong, they'll never know what the right thing is simply because their belief gets in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
That's a very poor rendition of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool, man.
Now, those are my 3 cents. Take it for what it's worth. I could be completely off base with all of it.
Fair enough. Well,
and
let me ask you, where do you think that there are, or what do you think the prime situations would be that where what I was talking about with street epistemology might be most useful or would be helpful? Do you think that what I was saying had any merit?
Oh, sure, Chris. You've always got decent information and thought-provoking ideas. The thing is that each and every one of us can use that on ourselves and with the people in our lives.
Yeah.
All right, in a positive manner. The thing is, you mentioned ego. Who doesn't like having an answer to something?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. It
can be very unnerving to simply say, I don't know.
Yes, it is. The 3 most difficult words to say in critical thinking.
Yep.
I don't know. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I don't know why I didn't get that job I interviewed for, even though I answered all the questions correctly. And yes, this is a hypothetical, and yes, the people are crazy for not hiring me. You know, that could be one of the things. I don't know. It's a little unnerving to think. Well, I just don't know. It's something was going on that I have no control over.
Yeah, that's right.
And having an answer is extraordinarily emotionally satisfying, even if that answer is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like the man earlier who called and said that his pool boy father-in-law likes the lizard people.
Right. That's right.
That guy has answers.
Yep,
Yes, he does.
Yep.
That's right. You're nailing it there. I could not agree more.
Well, sometimes I do okay. Okay, so I'll leave you with this.
Are you still there? Did we lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, we still
Hello?
have the call on the thing.
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, it's fine, babe.
No,
Are
I
you
know.
still there?
This is the call that we're on right now. So
Hello?
anyway, okay. I guess we lost Travis there, so I'm going to drop the
No,
call.
he's still there.
Okay.
I know he's still there, but we can't. Nothing's coming through.
Hello?
You're not hearing him?
No.
I am.
Oh, I'm not hearing him. You're hearing him?
Yeah.
Oh, this is my bad. Okay. This is my bad. I'm not hearing him. Okay. So somehow my earphones have gone bad. 1 second.
Okay.
We were
so
just talking about how great they were.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
You jinxed it.
I jinxed it. I totally jinxed it.
Mm.
I think this is one for...
No, these headphones have just suddenly died all of a sudden. Oh, wait a second. There we go.
We found the problem.
Ha!
I was always worried I was going to be the one to
apologize
do
for
that.
my technical foul there. 100% my bad. Sorry about that, Travis.
No, and this is one for Art Bell to figure out. Perhaps there was some type of 5G interference.
Yeah.
joke.
Well, I just got scheduled for my booster shot, so maybe the satellites are moving into position so that when I get it, they'll be getting and that's causing some radio transmission problems.
Well, as long as Mel gets all of what you own after you go, okay? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing I want to bring up, and this is a confirmation of what you've been saying all along, and this is for your audience as well, mostly for your audience, if they would like to go and check you out. The International Management Bulletin number 8, which I'm sure you're aware of, Chris.
Oh, sure. What's it called?
It says that, it's called, it's International Management Bulletin number 8. I didn't see a title.
Oh,
but
okay.
It says the only reason, and the word only is underlined, seriously, orgs exist is to sell and deliver services to the public and to get in public to serve and deliver to paying customers.
Yep. That was the original statement of it. He revised that later. And it sounds remarkably similar, but paying customers was revised.
Well, look, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because what do you say always about Scientology? It's a money-making scheme, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's proof positive. They had to change that because it created bad PR for them. That's why. Not because they changed they didn't change their sentiment and the culture didn't change. They just changed the wording of it,
Yeah, but this is confidential information. How's that going to make bad PR? Who's looking at it that's in the public?
Oh, it got reported on because that didn't just come from that International Management Bulletin. That came from a Hubbard policy letter called The Reason for Orgs. And that policy letter was something that we used to memorize. The only reason orgs exist is to sell and deliver materials and service to the public and get in public to sell and deliver to. The object is totally freed beings. That's the quote from the current policy letter.
That's no joke.
What's that?
That's no joke, dude. That's what it says verbatim in there.
Yeah. There you go.
Look at you. All right.
Yeah.
You guys have a better one. I'll leave you with that.
All right. Thanks, man. Bye-bye. I guess I still got it. That is hilarious. I haven't had to say those words in a while. All right. We have Gail here. Hello, Gail. You were on.
Hi. I wanted to ask you, Melissa and Chris, hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
You're welcome.
my condolences on losing your beautiful cat.
Thank you.
That was one of the prettiest cats I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
And I saw a video today on the Freewinds, and these people that inspected it, and they said it's still full of blue asbestos, and that this is the most dangerous form of it. Would you know if that's true?
Wow, that's interesting. I thought they had, I thought that they had done, in fact, I know they did, a full bottom to the top refit of that ship after that blue asbestos problem. So if there's blue asbestos there now, I don't know how it got there, but that's fascinating. Because that whole refit, I only learned this after I got out of the Sea Org, but my, from what I understood, that bottom to top refit was done exactly because the blue asbestos became a PR nightmare for the church.
Yeah, I don't remember the date of this video that I watched this afternoon.
Ah, okay.
But this guy claimed that it was just that they inspected it and said it was okay, but the blue asbestos was still there. And so this is really frightening. Yeah. Because it takes like 10 to 20 years for the symptoms to show up. And of course, they had a lot of Sea Org members. Not only that, they had, of course, those OT8 people, the customers. What cracked me up, and the customers or the people doing the OT8, they're still they spent a fortune already, and they're still trying to sell them stuff.
That's right.
Holy
yeah. No, it's bad stuff.
Cow.
Yeah, no, it's bad stuff. No question about it. But I believe the video you saw is probably an older video. If it's the one I'm thinking of with Woodcraft. I forgot his first name. Matt's dad.
I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry. I should have written this down. Because
no worries.
I had it in my mind to ask this question because it's just considering all the people on the ship and what they're doing and how much patrons pay for it.
Yep.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Well, it is. And it also helps it possibly helps or suggests that maybe, at least with the initial OT8s and the people who were going to the ship who were very high-level Scientologists, might have later, there were people who died of cancer. And sometimes people ask, why is it that it seems a lot of Scientologists die of cancer? Well, stuff like this, So this might...
I've come across that question. Why does the OT8 die of cancer and this stuff? And apparently you're not supposed to get sick at all if you're OT8.
Exactly.
I wonder if some of those people understand that they can't read minds and levitate and all that stuff.
Yeah, I wish they knew that, but
nothing happened.
No.
I mean, they paid $2 million and nothing happened.
Well, you'd be. All I can say is it's kind of amazing what we can fool ourselves into believing, including believing what we can do, when we start thinking that we're operating in the spiritual realm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. And I've tried to imagine I'm psychic, but I'm not.
Right. I mean, exactly, right? But, when you're kind of in that headspace, the world is a very magical place, and you start seeing things very differently.
Oh, I wanted to ask you something else real quick, and I didn't want to be long-winded this evening.
No, it's fine. What you got?
Do Scientologists have to read or watch Battlefield Earth?
No, it's not required that they do that. It usually comes up at some point along the line because it's kind of a popular thing in Scientology, but it's not required.
But he did have to watch it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, I had to watch it, but that was because I was in the Sea Org. That was a little bit of a different thing. Yeah, it's one of the worst movies ever made.
God.
It's really bad. I actually did a little bit of a movie review of it on my channel. If you want to look that up, it's kind of fun.
I think I did watch it, and I watched a few others, and no reviewer likes it at all.
Oh.
And I was talking with a friend about it, and I said, that director needs to go back to film school. And he said, that director couldn't direct traffic.
That's right.
So anyway, yeah, I think that director is long gone. My God.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, it was Roger Ebert had the best quote. Where is it here? Battlefield Earth is like taking a bus trip with someone who has needed a bath for a long time. It's not merely bad, it's unpleasant in a hostile way. That's Battlefield Earth for you.
Unpleasant in a hostile way. I like that.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable that they were going to make a sequel to that god-awful thing.
Yeah, right? Oh, thank God they did not. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Gail.
Have a good night. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Awesome. Bye-bye. All right. Cool deal. Yeah, it's always fun. All right, let's catch up here. See, make sure our comments are not going off the rails. Yeah, no, not going crazy. I'm not sure what's going on here. But... All right, guys, just sort of checking through the comments here. Sorry, I don't, when you guys, I don't always get a chance to answer all the questions that you guys throw here in the comment section. Sorry about that, but the way of things, I suppose. Okay, so wrapping up. Oh, one last thing I wanted to tell you guys about that I thought was kind of interesting. That's been part of my education has been learning about something called the Power Threat Meaning Framework. And this is something that the British Psychological Society, the BPS, I think I miscalled it the BPA or the British Psychological Association in my podcast that's going up tomorrow, but it's British Psychological Society. They have adopted this as official, like a framework from which you can operate as a psychologist and psychiatrist. And this framework, it kind of eschews labels. It's not into labeling and diagnostic practices along the line of, oh, your problem is you are ADHD, you are bipolar, you are this, you are that, you're psychotic, you're schizophrenic, you're, borderline. They kind of move all that off the road and instead look more deeply at the sort of social dynamics and life of a person as well as the individual himself. Because when you think about life and living, none of us are an island. And since when is mental health only something that happens in your brain, right? You got other factors that affect that. I guarantee you that if I walk up to you and hit you on the big toe with a hammer, I'm going to affect your mental health. Right? I'm going to affect your emotional life in a significant way if I do that to you, right? So, our emotional lives and our mental health have something to do with what's going on around us as well as what's going on in our heads. And it's the only point I'm making there. Mm-hmm. And I am interested in this, and I want to let you guys know that this is kind of interesting that we might have systems of psychology and psychiatry in the future that are not like they are now, where we're just trying to throw labels on things. Labels are clarifying and categorizing, and I don't know that we're ever going to totally get away from categorizing people, but the way we might approach a person is not, oh, here's your label, therefore I now know A, B, C, D, E, F, G about you. Right. It's more maybe perhaps behavior oriented. What are a person's behaviors? What do they do? Not what's going on in their head. Then we can maybe examine, how do we practically assist this person in their life to be able to, adjust their life or adjust the factors of their life or adjust themselves, right, or all of the above in order to, more fit through or more work through their mental health, quote unquote, issues. And this kind of paradigm shift, and I'm not sitting here promoting the power threat meaning framework. I'm just throwing that out there as an example of the field itself. This is from psychologists and psychiatrists who put this together and said, this label stuff and the DSM and this stuff, this ain't working. It's got a limited amount of workability. We're really not solving the problems. We're not affecting anything like cures. I mean, that's not what's going on here. And yet we still use this language out of medicine as though this is what we're striving for. And it doesn't really, we're finding as we learn more and more about social psychology and cognitive psychology and neuroscience that the old models don't really fit what's really going on. Fascinating stuff, So I wanted to comment on this and share this with you guys because I find it fascinating, and I thought you might too, because it suggests that maybe running around calling each other narcissists might not be the best idea.
I saw a couple comments in there. You might like that one.
Oh, hey! Thank you, One Track Mind, for buying my book. I appreciate
and I thought
that.
Was an interesting question.
Oh yes, Keith. Okay, how would Scientology explain autism? Okay. There could be a couple different answers for it and they could get away with it because nobody yet really totally clicks on, well, what is autism? And is it a spectrum disorder, or is it a this, or is it a that, or is it a perception thing? Is it a neurological disorder, or is it just a different way of approaching or framing life? What are we talking about here? And this is not something I'm an expert in. I'm not claiming any expertise on this. I'm claiming that I know that the experts are still arguing about all of this. And so you can get pseudoscientific approaches like Scientology, where they might say, well, it could be a genetic disorder or a neurological disorder, in which case we have clear-cut Scientology policy that says we don't audit people whose neurosystems are damaged or physically damaged in a significant way. Hubbard kind of just said, nope, we're not doing any of that. Or they might say that the thetan connected with that body of that person who has autism, this is going to be a blame the victim approach, by the way, but it's their thetan is screwed up in some significant fashion or aberrated in some significant fashion so as to be responsible for twisting the body up that way so that it has this non-normal way of reacting to the world, and it's a spiritual problem, but we can't access it because you can't audit somebody who won't respond to what you're saying to them in a sequitur way. So that's kind of what they would say about that, as far as I know. Oh yes, Joel Osteen's in so much trouble, and I am here for it.
Wait, I didn't hear this.
Oh, they found bags. Okay, how it was described, and I did not go into detail on reading this, but how it was described is that in the bathroom walls of one of his churches, they were doing some kind of work or inspection or something. They found bags of money, like cash. Bags and bags of it.
That he's not reporting, I'm guessing?
Yeah, stashed in the walls of his church. Oh, I don't know what that is.
Where did that come from?
Really, Joel? You're the richest man in the room, and you have no idea where all this rich-ass money came from. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I hope that Joel Osteen, I hope he has a Merry Christmas. Okay, guys.
Might be with cuffs.
Yeah, it might just be, and wouldn't that be a shame? I am so mean. Okay, guys. Thanks for coming around and listening to us babble here and inviting us into your home for this Friday evening. We always love sharing this with you. This is just fun. It's so fun for us, and I'm glad it's fun for you guys. Let us see here. What is this? Yeah, there we go. Oh, thank you for reminding me, because I skipped this last time when we did the grief episode, but let's get back into the groove with our critical thinking cards. And I wasn't even going to tell you guys about my awesome podcast tomorrow either. Oh my God, I am horrible. Pick a card, any card.
Maybe.
All right. These are our critical thinking cards.
Availability heuristic.
Okay. Availability heuristic. Okay, so this is a cognitive bias. Okay, it's like a filter in your thinking. Your judgments are influenced by what springs most easily to mind. Doing, right? How recent, emotionally powerful, or unusual your memories are can make them seem more relevant. This, in turn, can cause you to apply them too readily. Try to gain different perspectives and source statistical information. So kind of a little bit like we were talking about with the street epistemology stuff tonight.
Yeah. And don't forget, I got to do my quote.
Oh my God, of course. Let's have you do that, and then I will comment on my podcast.
Let me bring it up. I thought I had it up. All right. So I like this one. It's a Christmas quote. Christmas is a necessity. There has to be at least one day of the year to remind us that we're here for something else beside ourselves. Eric Severide, or Severide. I'm not sure how to say it.
Nice. That's right. Well, on that note, let me talk about myself for a minute. So my podcast tomorrow is actually, I really, really, really want to kind of pimp this because I am really happy with my podcast this week. It's a little under an hour, and I think I have described I hope in a really good way exactly why Scientology auditing is actually really bad for you, and why no matter what they do with it, it always will be. And I talk about the e-meter, and I talk about the way Scientology auditing is conducted in a way that I've never talked about it before. And I make and we do a little compare and contrast with the Scientology codes and the APA and psychology and therapy and their codes. And anyway, I really hope you guys will check that out because I had a lot of fun putting that together. So, and then we'll have a regular Q&A show this weekend as usual. So there you go. I think that's everything. Yeah. All right, guys. And I will, anyway, that's all I'm going to say. So we'll wrap it up.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye, guys.